Well, today marked day 3 of the ITU conference in Durban. The SABC's Siphumelele Zondi has been at the conference and bringing you live updates throughout the day. Earlier, he spent some time in conversation with some conference delegates discussing everything from legislation to innovation. Let's take a look. From all of us here, thank you for watching and good night.
Hello and welcome to ITU Telecom World right here on the globe. We are coming to you from the Inkosi Albert Lutuli Convention Center in Durban. And we are finding out a bit more about what's happening here and all the leaders and startups and the role players in the telecom space on the African continent and the rest of the world. Right now with me is Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, who is the AU Commissioner for Infrastructure, Energy and Tourism. Hello and thank you very much for joining me, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Siphumelele. Very glad to be here.
All right, so now let's start with the difficult task that you have to do as AU Commissioner, the task of the synergy of a lot of laws and regulations, especially when it comes to the African continent. How difficult is that task?
Before we talk about the difficulties, let me at the outset say that I'm extremely happy to be here today, not just at the show, but in Durban, in South Africa, in Africa. This is the first time this event takes place on the continent, and I must say, I mean, South Africa is doing us, all of us, proud and really, really happy and proud of what's happening here today. And judging by the number of leaders who came from all over the world to join us in Africa in this event and the excellent discussions that are taking place between the heads of the industries, the officials, the interested bodies is fantastic. So thank you very, very much, South Africa, for hosting this magnificent event.
All right, and you say you are enjoying this event?
Very much so. I'm enjoying it. I'm getting lots of ideas. I'm very happy of this, you know, the synergy, the determination of everybody to make ICT and to make to leapfrog in this digital age. And as someone said, I mean, this is a revolution, of course. I mean, you know about the fourth revolution. This is a revolution that Africa cannot afford to miss, but I am even happier to say that Africa is not missing it. We are determined to grab, you know, this revolution, make it work for us. And I'm sure you know about the many initiatives and the many activities in the digital sphere that are taking place across the continent, something to make us all again proud.
For you, what are some of the bright corners, the bright sparks of the African continent?
Oh, plenty, plenty, plenty. I mean, when I look at how we invented on this continent the mobile money for the whole world, how telecom is advancing very rapidly everywhere, the applications that are being developed and invented by our youth, the number of digital or incubators for ICT and innovation that across the continent, more than 300 now, the applications of this technology in agriculture, in health, in e-governance, and in providing services to every citizen is something to make us all proud. I do not wish to forget anybody, but I'm sure every and each African has been seeing over the last years a considerable change in that sphere. Of course, we would like to make it the norm for everybody. We would like to see each and every African enjoying these services and using this technology, which means that we still have to work on the digital divide between, for instance, rural, urban, women and girls and boys and men, and so on and so forth. So there are lots of challenges still, but we are on the right path. I did not wish or I did not forget or dismiss your first question. Is still there about the rules and regulations and. Would you like me to address them now?
Oh, go for it. Because, I mean, a lot of countries come up with different laws and regulations. And how do you ensure that synergy?
It's more than synergy. Now, you did mention that I'm the Commissioner for Infrastructure, including ICT, as well as energy. And you understand that this is a continent of 1.1 billion people, but also more than 50 countries. So each country has its own laws, procedures, regulations, policies, strategies, visions. which made the task tough to work together, but also not necessarily attractive for investment because some of the autonomies are small. So we are keen also on creating economies of scale and which attracts investments and makes operations happen in a seamless way. This is where the African Union comes in, and this is our main role, objective, and mission, is the integration of the continent. And here, when we talk about integration, it's not just about the big slogans, but physically linking the continent together when it comes to transport, for instance, whether it's roads or air or rail or so on, but also in terms of ICT and in terms of energy. Now, the main challenge is the harmonization. It's not synergy, but it's the harmonization of the regulations across the continent. And in effect, we do have several initiatives and working with the regional communities to harmonize the policies in these various sectors in order to make the exchange between countries work seamlessly, but also to create a big space which makes our projects more attractive for investment. Of course, you know that we recently launched the African Free Trade Area. I also launched earlier this year the African Single Air Market. We also launched the initiative for the free movement of people across the continent. All of these need infrastructure for people to move, for equipments to work, for exchange to happen, commercial or otherwise. We need ICT, we need a road, we need a plane, and we do need these transport and, of course, energy.
So, Commissioner Abu Zaid, would you then say that African innovators have the right support on the African continent to thrive, to even take their innovations to the rest of the world?
I wish I could say yes. In some countries, yes, and in some countries, not the support that I would like to see. Our youth have been doing great, and very often with little support, I must say. But then again, all our governments, without exception, now realize that here is a great opportunity we are not allowed to let go of. So I see, as I said, lots of initiatives that are happening across the continent. Also, many of the international operators or companies working in the tech sphere are providing a know-how or incentives or projects, in order to help people, or incubators to help these young people, innovate and provide the right support. We need more of the support, not only of governments, but our own financial institutions in order to invest and take these innovations further. So that's also to grow, you need financial support, you need tech support. So it is important our financial institutions on the continent, with the help of the government, also look at our young people and look at their inventions and applications and things they come up with, and give them the right support to make these micro technology-based startup grow and grow to a higher level across the world.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you for this.
That is Dr. Amane Abu Zaid, who is the AU Commissioner for Infrastructure, Energy and Tourism, telling me that there are bright sparks on the African continent when it comes to tech innovation and when it comes to regulation that can assist in making technology startups thrive, even though there is a bit of worry in certain areas, and she hopes that in future they will all realize, the countries that they need to make it easier for innovators from the African continent to take their innovations to the rest of the world. Let's take a short break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. We are still at the ITU Telecom World taking place at the Inkosi Albert Luthuli Convention Center in Durban. Now, a lot of us tend to worry about our safety when we're online, and a lot of companies lose a lot of customers because of unsecure data and because their data has been compromised. To talk to me about some of these issues is Andy Bates. He is from the Global Cyber Alliance. Hello, and thank you very much for joining me, Andy.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for having us.
Do you think that when a lot of, especially when it comes to companies that are new, do you think cybersecurity is the one thing that they worry about a lot?
I'd like to think it should be the thing that they worry about, and I think with some of the more recent big publicity hacks, then boardrooms are starting to worry about it a lot more. But hey, you know, most boards are worried about theft and security, but when we use the phrase cyber, it's a little bit geeky. So often I think it's only the IT director who often worries about things, but I think that's changing.
What are some of the big compromises that they would worry about and probably could experience?
So there's been some recent really big hacks where customer data has been stolen. So only last week in the UK, I think 300,000 credit card details were stolen. So although it doesn't affect the company itself, it's those 300,000 citizens. A thing we worry about in the Global Cyber Alliance is that it's really easy to spoof someone's email. So if I can pretend to be you in the internet, then you know, imagine the damage that I could cause or the fraud that people could commit. So so we see a lot of that, although it isn't maybe talked about as much as maybe we'd like.
How do a lot of cyber criminals get a hold of our information, and how do they get hold of the information that a lot of companies have?
It's a really good question, and most people agree that the biggest cause of cybercrime is a thing called phishing. And phishing is where somebody sends you an email pretending to be someone who you know or trust, or maybe it's the government, so somebody pretending to be the government tax authority. And there's a link in that email. You click on the link and that takes you to a website. You still think you're on the appropriate website, and actually you're on a criminal's website. And that's when they say, you know, please insert your credit card details, your bank details, and that's normally when bad things happen. So 90% of cybercrime is somebody trusting an email and clicking on a link that they probably shouldn't do.
Someone else might say, well, what's the big deal? It's just my email, and if I've clicked on it, the link goes to wherever it goes, and I can always change the password later.
Yeah, but maybe you've also downloaded a virus without realizing it. So once you click on that link, your computer's doing things that you maybe don't know about. And you know, a friend of mine was hacked in February, nothing happened, and this guy builds hotels, so he moves a lot of money about. £26,000 just went out of his bank account in July. And do you know the irony is, I said to this guy when he'd been hacked, you should do these few basic things. He ignored them, lost 26,000.
What are the few basic things?
So number one is we like a thing called DMARC, and DMARC is a little bit of a techie thing. It's an acronym, but I'd encourage all of your viewers to Google the thing called DMARC. It's a way of making your email safe online, so that then only you can send emails being you, and anybody pretending to be you can be stopped. But the other basic advice is change your password regularly. If there's a thing called two-factor authentication, which is when your mobile's used as another device, please turn that on if you've got the option. And hey, you know, the most popular password on the planet is still password 123, and that's just too easy. That makes it too easy for the hackers these days, you know.
But Andy, these days you hear a lot of people saying that they do change those passwords regularly, but at the same time they find that their information is already floating out there.
Yeah, it's a combination of things, and we often call it depth and defense. So if you don't click on that link, if you do secure your email and you change your password and you've got two-factor authentication, you're probably 95% better off than you were in the first place.
All right. And so who do you work with?
Work with, as in our organisations. So we have 230 partner organisations today. We've existed for 3 years, so that number probably will grow by the end of the week. Some of our partners range from big names like IBM, Microsoft, Sony, Verizon. And then we've also got some really cool, small, innovative security companies. Some guys who write code by machine instead of by hand, which makes, you know, the code much more secure. People with really cool, innovative ideas that we can help them to come to market, or maybe they can help us.
And how do you help them?
So number one is we give them our free cybersecurity tools. We're a very small organisation, and we're trying to fight cybercrime, which is a very big challenge. I often joke with people I'm only 29 years old, so it's been a kind of tough role so far. So yeah, we give our tools to these people. So a good example is Barclays Bank. So they give all of our free tools to all of their business customers in the UK. So when our partners do that, that helps them and helps their brand as well as helps ourselves.
So when it comes to issues like cybercrime, for example, have you ever caught any cyber criminals that have, with your help, obviously, these organizations with your help, that have been prosecuted?
So the one thing we don't do is chase after the bad guys. So that's the role of the police, or in the UK, people like the NCA or the NCSC.
So you just provide the tools to block it from happening?
Yeah, we're all about prevention. And the reason for that is that we also want to maintain the user's privacy. So if I give you our free cybersecurity tools, you don't want to worry that I'm spying on you. And so to go and chase down criminals, you need to get forensic evidence. And that's where really the police or the security services or those kind of authorities come in. And we don't have the scale or indeed the law enforcement training to do that. And we also want to maintain the trust, because some people, if you work for the government, maybe people think that we're spying on you. So we're not a government organisation. We're not affiliated with any of those people. We also don't have the international powers of the people like Interpol. They're organisations who do those things really well, and we certainly don't want to compete with those people.
And you also mentioned some big international players here, the likes of IBM and others. Any players in the African continent?
Not yet, and the main reason for us partnering with the ITU is to help us to genuinely become global, because the ITU as part of the UN is a very well respected name, and I think we've met about 50 African governments while I've been here in Durban for the past 2 days. So yeah, that's the principal reason for the mission. But so I hope by the end of the month to have significantly improved our African conversation.
How's ITU going for you?
It's been really good. It's been an eye-opener. Everybody's been incredibly welcoming. I mean, as you can imagine, when you say you've got a free solution to your country's cyber problems, then that's a pretty good way to solve the problem. But yeah, for me, these 2 days have been a brilliant investment to talk to both ministers as well as experts from an entire continent, all in 2 or 3 days. So excellent opportunity.
And you did say that you are a small organization. So how do you then charge for your solutions?
We don't. So again, everything we do is absolutely free, which is great, particularly for the developing nations. I think it
supports you.
So we're supported by altruistic donation. So we were founded by the District Attorney of New York, of Manhattan, and by the City of London Police in London. So the world's 2 big financial centres in 2015 realised that cybercrime had just gone crazy. The total global cost of cybercrime is $600 billion. So with a big challenge like that, they said enough is enough, prevention is the way forward.
So what you're saying is that if these governments that you've been meeting up with at ITU take up your services, they're getting them for free?
Absolutely, yep. And this is a good news story, that the developing nations, or the developed nations, sorry, fund us altruistically, so we get altruistic donation and grants. We build these tools and they genuinely globally scale. So they help the nations who've given us money, but they also help the nations who don't. So absolutely, any of the countries in Africa or the world who want to join the Global Cyber Alliance, please come and join us. But more importantly, please help us to give our tools to the citizens of Africa.
All right, Andy Bates, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right, sure. Andy Bates there from the Global Cyber Alliance, telling us about cybersecurity and issues around how we can keep our details safe. Let's take a short break and we will be back with you right after this. Right, so welcome back. Sometimes startup companies need a lot of support and they need incubation, and often that is very hard to find, especially the right fit of incubation. With me is Lona Mutegi, who's with at iLab Africa. They are at Strathmore University in Nairobi in Kenya, and they incubate quite a few startups. And I am also with Adelson Mokanze, who is the founder of Shitik, one of the startups that are exhibiting here at ITU Telecom World. He is from Mozambique. Hello, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having us.
Here. Let's start with you, Lona. Tell us about the importance of the incubation process for startup companies.
So, my name is Lona Mutegi from iLab Africa. So let me tell you first what iLab Africa does. So iLab Africa is a research center based in Strathmore University. And in that lab, we focus on building ICT solutions to address the development goals, both national development goals and even global development goals, specifically the sustainable development goals. And in Kenya, the development goals that we focus to build solutions that support Kenya's progress towards those goals is the Kenya Vision 2030 and the new, the Big Four agenda that the President, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, is focusing on.
What's the Big Four agenda?
So the Big Four agenda includes 4 key development goals. The first one is on manufacturing. The second one is affordable housing. And the third one is affordable healthcare for all. And the fourth one is food security. So as at iLab Africa, we are building solutions, local solutions to address local challenges within those key areas. And also we are providing support to other startups who have built solutions that address challenges in those areas.
Yes.
And we do that through our incubation center. It's called at IBIS Africa. And in that center, we provide startups with an environment where they can come learn on how they can build their solutions, on how they can make money out of those solutions.
Yes.
And we do so through training, and we attach them to industry experts who give them mentorship on various areas, including how to build their solutions for market and basic skills such as bookkeeping, accounting skills, and even how to protect themselves when in matters concerning IP and patent issues, basically. So there's so much you're doing at iLab Africa.
Lorna, you haven't answered my question though, so I'm going to move that question to Adelson.
I think I answered it when I talked about
Well, tell me what
Africa.
you do, so I'm going to move it to Adelson. Adelson, the importance of the incubation process for startup companies.
My name is Edilson Mukanzi, and I'm from Mozambique. Startup incubation is a very good process because it's from there we learn everything we need to make sure that when it comes to pitch, we deliver a good pitch. We have been in a process where we're learning about starting from management, starting from how to do a pitch, how to do a good business plan. Because even if you got a good tech, if you don't got a good background on management, it won't be enough for you to give for the customers.
Now, you are the founder of Mshitik. What does Mshitik do?
First of all, I come with Mozambique. Government from Mozambique has made a selected process where they selected many startups, where Mshitik were the one who were selected to be here. So Mshitik is a fintech solution for informal group of saving. In Mozambique, there's a lot of people who are saving money, but those people they don't know how to do with that money. So I develop a software which will make them manage the group of save while they are learning about financial education.
Is that similar to what South Africans would call Stokvel?
Yeah, it's similar to Stokvel, but in Mozambique it's quite different. They do it and they are rotating money. So imagine 5 people. They say that, okay, let's make a group of saving. We will save 100 per month. So in this month, one of the person who will receive the money of all of them, including himself. Next month, another one will receive the money for all of them, including himself. But the question is, those monies are under the bed. They're using homemade safe to carry the money. They don't have a safety way to carry this money. If someone can go and rob the money is all gone. So we are offering a platform which they can integrate with or associate with any bank account or e-wallet to make the transaction and keep the records. They can track their records from this group of stick or Stokvel, as you say here in South Africa, you call it.
Lorna, are fintech solutions a big thing in Kenya at Strathmore University at iLab?
So in Kenya, we have something called M-Pesa. I know you've heard of it. So it's a mobile payment solution by Safaricom, which is a telco company in Kenya. And also we are not building so many solutions in that area per se, but what software developers in our lab are doing, they're using their payment gateways and the APIs to be able to build other solutions that require a payment gateway to be included.
What are some of your most prominent solutions? Some of your most prominent solutions?
So we have solutions in various sectors addressing e-health. We have solutions in addressing agricultural challenges. We have solutions in addressing matters to do with the population, etc., open data, data analytics, IoT solutions. So we have solutions covering a wide range of areas in Kenya. Yes, so I wouldn't say there is a specific area that most people are building solutions for. I would say generally every area is pretty much covered. Yes.
Edelson, where are you incubated and how did you choose that particular incubator?
I'm going to say the traction of how we start. I got this idea long before. First of all, I've been incubated by Orange Corner, which is a program from Orlando, and we have it in Mozambique. So from there, we start learning about all the process from making a good campaign and deliver a good product for the client, where we've been learning about UX design, which is design a product for clients, not for you. We are designing things for people, so we must know what people want. We must know what people are complaining in. So getting what the people complain, we can deliver a better solution for them. We are not building only because we know how to build it. We build it because we know that people are complaining. So we must know what they are complaining for and how to deliver this good product by learning about UX design.
And Lona, how do you identify what a particular team or startup needs?
So this is what happens for you to join our incubation center. So we have Pitch Fridays, where we invite young innovators with ideas to come to our incubator and pitch their ideas to a team of industry experts. So you come in, you present your idea, and if your idea is viable enough, we will onboard you into a training program where you get to learn the basics of starting and running a business successfully. I don't know whether I've addressed your question. Yes, so that's how we identify. You have to pitch to a team of industry experts in your area, and then if your idea makes sense and indeed it solves a challenge in the local market, then we will assist you and we will connect you to potential investors who can be able to invest in your business. Yes.
Edelson, how are you finding ITU Telecom World?
It's quite amazing because there's a lot of amazing people, and it's a very good place to make networking. That's what I'm doing, and I make sure that I deliver a system which can help not only Mozambique but the rest of the world, because we know that in other countries they are doing safe or another kind of solution that everyone here in ATU offer. So we will make sure that the world will be better.
How are you finding Durban?
It's amazing. It's my first time being in Durban, so yeah, I'm impressed. Impressed.
And Lorna, how are you finding ITU Telecom World?
I think ITU Telecom is a great platform to show the world that Africans have the technical knowledge and the technical capacity to build solutions for Africa by Africans. So it's basically shows us that we have what it takes, and we are open to collaborations and to working with other people, starting with Africa, and then we can move to the rest of the world. Yes.
And has Durban been warm enough for you? Are you liking
Very
the beach?
warm, but I haven't gotten enough time to walk around and enjoy what you have to offer here, because we've been in the stands most of the day, but it's beautiful.
Well, let's hope
But Kenya is more beautiful though.
All right, so
Yeah.
I will not say much about that one. I hope you do get more time to walk around and at least get to go and see the beach and enjoy the sun outside.
Yes.
All right, so that is Lona Mutegi, who is with at iLab Africa. There's also Edelson Mokanze, who's with Shitik. Thank you very much for joining me. Digital migration of television from terrestrial is a big topic in South Africa. Some countries have already started doing it, as South Africa already has, and some countries have also moved way ahead of South Africa. And now to discuss this with me is Mudu Ngom, who is the Telecommunications Director at the Ministry of Telecommunications in Senegal. I also have Mr. Andreas Dlamini, who is the Director of Communications in the Eswatini Ministry of ICT. Hello, and thank you very much for joining me, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Zondo.
Now, let's start with you, Mr. Dlamini. Eswatini is a small country. Was it an easy process to migrate from terrestrial TV?
Yeah, digital migration in the Kingdom of Eswatini did take quite a lot of time and a lot of energy, a lot of planning, and quite a lot of resources. But fortunately, we were able to complete the process, and we switched off our digital, we switched off our analog signal in 2016, December 31, as agreed by the SADC Council of Ministers. And we are now fully digital on terrestrial television.
Mr. Ngom, are you digital now in Senegal?
Thanks. Good afternoon. In Senegal, for digital television transition, we have started to do it already. And now we have covered 12 regions in 14. That means 92% of the population has digital television now. And what is remaining is to do the switch off of analog signal. And we hope to do it next year.
Why has it not been switched off yet?
Sorry?
Why has it not been switched off yet?
Because, as I said, we have only 92% of the population that is covered by digital signal. And before doing switch off of analog signal, we have 100% of the population that should have possibility to have digital signal. And after that, we can announce to the population that we are going to do the switch off. So analog signal is no longer available in our country.
Do you worry about the signal being interrupted? Because that's the worry that many have raised in South Africa, that the signal is no longer protected, and therefore it might be interrupted by other players, by neighboring countries, etc., etc.
Yeah, you know, about signal, you know, that is an issue of spectrum, an issue of frequency. So it is important that that should be handled in the right way. So that means even after the switch off of the signal, there is a lot of possibility also for the mobile network about the frequency. It's why, of course, about signal, there is a lot of issue. We have to do coordination between our neighboring country, and that means collaboration between our country that has border with Senegal.
Mr. Dlamini, Mr. Ngom here speaks about the possibilities that are there and the uses of that signal. Have you started exploring those possibilities since you have already switched off? Have you started maybe coming up with new innovations of how that signal can be used and the spectrum can be used?
Thank you, Siphumelele. Maybe I should start from the position or from this question of interfering with neighboring countries. Fortunately, in the SADC region, we were able to meet together as neighboring countries and do coordination, frequency coordination together. And South Africa was leading with, came with a very good suggestion. The suggestion of using single frequency networks. And we adopted that suggestion from South Africa, and it worked wonders for us. And therefore, with this single frequency network that we have, we're able to use just one frequency throughout the whole country. And that minimized chances of interfering with neighboring countries. However, if maybe we were on a frequency that was used by some neighboring region within South Africa, then we did again start some negotiations, or South Africa did approach us to negotiate so that should we want to use for our single frequency network a frequency that is being used, what we should do.
And the issues of spectrum?
Yes, on the issues of spectrum. And then, now, after migrating, that is, after switching off the analog signal, it means the spectrum is already available now for use by other, for other services. And yes, the mobile networks have already started applying for it. However, the regulator is still in the planning stages as to how to effectively use that digital dividend that we got from digital migration. So it is still in the process of being worked on as to how the final distribution of that spectrum is going to be.
Mr. Ngom, how do you decide? Because you say 92% of the country has already migrated. How do you decide where to start, which areas to start with, and which areas go last?
Okay, thank you. We start with area with more density for our population. That means mainly urban city. That means departmental big cities in each region. And after we take the biggest region, the region that are more populated. And also there is another criteria. It is about where we have less problem of signal, you know, of broadcasting the digital signal. It's those criteria that you put on the table to take the 12 region where we have to start. Of course, we start with 5 regions, and after we extend it until having a 12 region. That means we learn by doing also for solving some problem that we have for digital broadcasting. It's one of those criteria that you put on the table.
You say you learn by doing, but did you learn from some of your neighbors? Did you learn from other countries in the world too? Which were some of the examples you used?
Yes, of course, there is some benchmark that has been done. You know, when we start, there is some African country that has already done the immigration. So you learn to this African country, but you learn also. We learn also from European country. But I think the better learning was from African country, because we have, you know, the same region. We are on the same region. We are handling some similar problem. So it is with some benchmark that we do before doing the migration, and that help also. And of course, there is a local context, a national context that we have when doing also. We have to correct something that we have done in the first time for the next step.
Mr. Dlamini, what is the future now? You have all the spectrum that you've opened up. Let's look forward to the future.
Yes, the future is twofold. There is the future of the spectrum itself as to what happens to the digital dividend, which the mobile operators are salivating for. But there is also the future in terms of the broadcasting itself. At home, we still have a big gap in terms of content. So we have taken this as an opportunity to open up. First, it was an opportunity to expand the coverage of the country when migrating. We expanded the coverage to near 100%. But it's not entirely there. We are still filling up some gaps here and there. But there is also the issue of the content.
Yeah.
We are in the process right now to build the content generation hubs where we'll have all the creative people to come and have their chance to try their creativity and come up with programs that they can show, because right now we've got lots of channels, but there's not much content on running on them. So, but then, you know, as a small country, we still have those challenges in terms of the facilities to produce that relevant content, the expertise, the skills, you know. But we know that our people are quite talented.
So the content would obviously be creating more choice.
Yes, it will be creating more choice, and it will also serve as training, like on-the-job training kind of situation, whereby they gain more experience and confidence as they do it.
Mr. Ngom, on your side, the future in Senegal now with all the spectrum that's opening up.
Yes, the future, there is a future, has said my friend, about digital dividend. That means for mobile operator, for a better using of frequency, of spectrum. And also the future about broadcasting is also we can have the broadcaster
Yeah.
that was focused on their domain. That means they are not going to handle how they are going to broadcast their signal and so on. They are going to be only has an editor. They are going to work on their program, to diversify their program, to have some thematic program that is about broadcaster. I think that is a better future. I think
Yeah.
that. So they are going to focus on their job and doing it in a better way.
Right.
That is how they are future. And of course, as I said at the beginning, there is a future also for broadband. So that means with digital dividend, so operator can do better offer also by using the spectrum with the latest technology. That means for 4G or 5G.
Yeah, Mr. Modungom and Mr. Andrea Dlamini, thank you very much for joining us. When you walk around the exhibitions at ITU, you realize that there are quite a lot of gadgets, and it looks a bit futuristic, as you can see right here in front of me at the moment. That's the doing of one of my guests. My guest is Aphiwe Adams. He is the co-founder of Omnipresent, and I also have Dolly Siabo, who is an app developer from Burundi. Hello, and thank you very much for joining me.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. All right, Dolly, you are into the reproduction space in terms of app development.
Yes.
What do you do exactly?
Just as he has said, I'm Dolly Nika. My application is called Ihuriro. It's an app based on sexual and reproductive health for the youth. Because back there home in Burundi, it's a kind of taboo thing. For the elders and the parents and the kids to talk about sexual health. So I thought of creating an application and also it's an app and also a website at the same time. It's about giving information to the youth. It offers articles, for example, on STDs and HIVs and many others. Because we young people, we usually don't have that kind of knowledge. So it kind of offers information so that they can be aware of the diseases. Yeah. And also they are mentored through the app by professional psychologists and doctors. If they want a meeting, a one-on-one meeting, we can book for them a meeting with the psychologists and doctors. We also offer at Ihuriro app a period tracker for the female users who want to know more about. It's about the female users to know more about their menstrual cycle. Yeah.
All right. We'll touch a bit about the support that you received and the app development space in Burundi later on. Aphiwe, you have a lot of gadgets with you, but they are not toys for just playing and having fun, are they?
Yeah, not at all. They're actually precision tools. So the company is called Omnipresent Global. We're a data analytics company. We use these bleeding edge technologies to mine the data. We write our own bespoke algorithms to optimize the data. So we essentially provide our clients with better visibility because you can't impact what you can't see. So with better visibility comes better profitability. And just a typical use case, we did a proof of concept here at the Durban Container Terminal, which is the biggest and busiest port terminal in the world, in the continent, where we assisted them to track essentially lost containers, which is it's a big problem. I mean, their provisions every year are around about 2.8 billion that they set aside. So you can imagine the amount of efficiency we can bring into Transnet when the technology is at a commercial stage. So we did a proof of concept, proved the technical elements that would deem the solution commercially viable or feasible, and we are waiting for Transnet to move quickly so that we can get into a pilot phase.
Yeah.
And we can save some money, especially from a state-owned enterprise, because if you look at Transnet and Amazon, exactly the same thing fundamentally. We do believe, technology is supposed to be an instrument, or is an instrument, to allow you to streamline your processes and get more done for cheaper.
You gave us a typical use case, but someone sitting at home might see a drone and not see how you would be using this drone for that process. If you can then maybe simplify that for us. How does the drone actually work?
So you see a bunch of gadgets here. So we've developed our own edge device, so a minimum viable product of an edge device. But the drone itself, how we used it to do 3D maps of the stacking area, because the data from Google is a little bit outdated. So we created our own maps, and we wrote algorithms then to track our devices within that 3D map that we created ourselves.
Dolly, in Burundi, what's the app development space like? Is it an easy space to be in? Are you getting the support you need? Do you have a lot of examples around you?
So I actually started 3 months ago. So I'm kind of new into this, but I'm getting help from, I'm under B-Hub, it's Burundi Innovation Hub. It's actually our first hub in Burundi. I work with them, so I'm kind of looking for guys who can fund me and look forward to it. And it will be a great thing if it works in South Africa, because I also heard it's a kind of taboo thing for our parents and others to talk about it.
Yeah. What has been being here at the ITU Telecom World been like for you?
It's been amazing, because I've met a lot of guys who have some crazy ideas, who are doing some crazy things in IT, because I think IT is the future of.
Up here for you, maybe business deals. What's been happening at ITU for you?
So we've had some really good engagements. From an international perspective, we had a really great engagement, which we excited about to see how far it would be. It will go with the government of Qatar, and we've had some good engagements with our own government as well. The Department of Health in Limpopo had mentioned some of the use cases where they see our edge device fitting into, and how we could assist them essentially track the diesel in generators in remote areas. So it's exciting, just like any other conference is, but we want to see the will, the appetite to innovate, because the reality is it takes money. And it takes risks. So we have to, in order to be disruptive as a government, we have to disrupt our governance processes, because they're not fit for this digital era. It's a completely different animal, different economy. Yeah.
All right, up here, Adams. Good luck with those that have shown interest in the work that you do, and good luck with the application as well.
Thank you so much.
All right, and that's all we have for you from ITU Telecom World right here at the Inkosi Albert Lutuli Convention Center in Durban. That's it from us from right here in Durban. It's good night.